As president, I will lead this effort. In the first 100 days of my administration, I will travel to a major Islamic forum and deliver an address to redefine our struggle. I will make clear that we are not at war with Islam, that we will stand with those who are willing to stand up for their future, and that we need their effort to defeat the prophets of hate and violence. I will speak directly to that child who looks up at that helicopter, and my message will be clear. You matter to us. Your future is our future, and our moment is now. This brings me to the fourth step in my strategy. I will make clear that the days of compromising our values are over. Major General Paul Eaton had a long and distinguished career serving this country. It included training the Iraqi army. After Abu Ghraib, his senior Iraqi advisor came into his office and said, "You have no idea how this will play out in the streets of Baghdad and the rest of the Arab world. How can this be?" This was not the America this Iraqi had looked up to. As the counterinsurgency manual reminds us, we cannot win a war unless we maintain the high ground and keep the people on our side. But because the administration decided to take the low road, our troops have more enemies. Because the administration cast aside international norms that reflect American values, we are less able to promote our values. When I am president, America will reject torture without exception. America is the country that stood against that kind of behavior before, and we will do so again. We'll also reject a legal framework that does not work. There has been only one conviction at Guantanamo. It was for a guilty plea on material support for terrorism. The sentence was 9 months long. There has not been one conviction of a terrorist act. I have faith in America's courts, and I have faith in our JAGs. As president, I will close Guantanamo, reject the Military Commissions Act, and adhere to the Geneva Conventions. Our Constitution and our Uniform Code of Military Justice provide a framework for dealing with the terrorists. This administration also puts forward a false choice between the liberties we cherish and the security we provide. I will provide our intelligence and law enforcement agencies with the tools they need to track and take out the terrorists without undermining our Constitution and our freedom. That means no more illegal wiretapping of American citizens. No more national security letters to spy on citizens who are not suspected of a crime. No more tracking citizens who do nothing more than protest a misguided war. No more ignoring the law when it is inconvenient. That is not who we are. And it's not what is necessary to defeat the terrorists. The FISA court works. The separation of powers works. Our Constitution works. We will again set an example for the world that the law is not subject to the whims of stubborn rulers and that justice is not arbitrary. This administration acts like violating civil liberties is the way to enhance our security. It is not. There are no shortcuts to protecting America. And that is why the fifth part of my strategy is doing the hard and patient work to secure a more resilient homeland. Too often, this administration's approach to homeland security has been to scatter money around and avoid hard choices, or to scare Americans without telling them what to be scared of or what to do. A department set up to make Americans feel safer didn't even show up when bodies drifted through the streets of New Orleans. That's not acceptable. My administration will take an approach to homeland security guided by risk. I will establish a quadrennial review at the Department of Homeland Security, just like at the Pentagon, to undertake a top-to-bottom review of the threats we face and our ability to confront them. And I'll develop a comprehensive national infrastructure protection plan that draws on both local know-how and national priorities. We have to put the resources where our infrastructure is most vulnerable. That means tough and permanent standards for securing our chemical plants, improving our capability to screen cargo, and investing in safeguards that will prevent the disruption of our ports, and making sure our energy sector, our refineries and pipelines and power grids, is protected so that terrorists cannot cripple our economy. We also have to get past a top-down approach. Folks across America are the ones on the front lines. On 9/11, it was citizens, empowered by their knowledge of the World Trade Center attacks, who protected our government by heroically taking action on Flight 93 to keep it from reaching our nation's capital. When I have information that can empower Americans, I will share it with Americans. Information sharing with state and local governments must be a two-way street because we never know where the two pieces of the puzzle are that might fit together. The tip from Afghanistan and the cop who sees something suspicious on Michigan Avenue. I will increase funding to gather information and connect it to the intelligence they receive from the federal government. I will address the problem of our prisons, where the most disaffected and disconnected Americans are being explicitly targeted for conversion by Al-Qaeda and its ideological allies. And my administration will not permit more lives to be lost because emergency responders are not outfitted with the communications capability and protective equipment their jobs require, or because the federal government is too slow to respond when disaster strikes. We've been through that on 9/11. We've been through that during Katrina. I will ensure that we have the resources and competent federal leadership we need to support our communities when American lives are at stake. But this effort can't just be about what we ask of our men and women in uniform. It can't just be about how we spend our time or our money. Ultimately, it's about the kind of country we are. We are in the early stages of a long struggle. Yet since 9/11, we've heard a lot about what America can't do, or shouldn't do, or won't even try to do. We can't vote against a misguided war in Iraq because that would make us look weak. We can't talk to other countries because that would be a reward. We can't reach out to the hundreds of millions of Muslims who reject terror because we worry that they hate us. We can't protect the homeland because there are too many targets, or secure our people while staying true to our values. We can't get past the America of red states and blue states, the politics of who's up and who's down, because that's how politics has come to be done in America. That is not the America that I know. The America I know is the last best hope for a child looking up at a helicopter. It's the country that put a man on the moon, a country that defeated fascism and helped rebuild Europe. It's a country whose strength abroad is measured not just by armies, but rather by the power of our ideals and by our purpose to forge an ever more perfect union at home. That's the America I know. We just have to act like it again to write that next chapter in American story. If we do, we can keep America safe while extending security and opportunity around the world. We can hold true to our values, and in doing so, advance those values abroad. And we can be what that child looking up at a helicopter needs us to be, the relentless opponent of terror and tyranny and the light of hope to the world. To make this story a reality, it's going to take Americans coming together and changing the fundamental direction of this country. It's going to take the service of a new generation of young people. It's going to take facing tragedy head on and turning it into the next generation's triumph. That's a challenge that I welcome, because when we do make the change, we will do more than win a war. We'll live up to that calling to make America and the world safer, freer, and more hopeful than we found it. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois. If you have any comments or questions on our programming, please email us at illinoischannel@aol.com. Or if you have any questions about the Illinois Channel, please visit our website at www.illinoischannel.org.